What's up, everybody? It's a little Carpo by Candlelight. Of course, there's still a light on in here because the candles are too dark to read, damn it. This is my elephant candle. It's actually my wife got it. It's really cool. I've had it for a long time. The kids broke the trunk off recently, so I was able to get it fixed back up. But I just decided to set a little candle up because there's just something about candles. They bring forth a sense of, that mystical quality of life. Anyway, I'm just gonna go until battery runs out on my camera here. This video is going to be a recap of Carpo's life. It's not meant to impress, it's not meant to prove, it's not meant to explain or go through any particular this is the truth, and I want to start off by saying that a mistake, often people mistake what I do here for being a truther. I'm not here to reveal truths. I'm just here to explore thoughts. And this is my book. This is Carpo's book. I got it in 2000, I believe. So it's about 15 years old. I've just got all this random stuff written on it. It says Carpo, Life of Y2K2 ? Astrology, theories, practices, theology, personal growth, science of the mind. So you open it up, and what I wanted to do was go back through a part of my life that I've been able to observe through watching the things that I have written, and the videos do the same thing over the last few years, but this goes back much further. And it starts off with the first, bunch of pages, like I'm talking about cutthroat trout and a good fishing spot, camping in California, when I was growing some white shark weed, 2004. So, it just kind of like little fun things. But the interesting thing that got me is I start flipping through it, and then it gets to other things. So it goes from that to being some little sketches I did, like of Twin Lakes, this campsite that we stayed at, and this place called Silver King Lake, which was a place my father wrote about, and I named this place Gregor Peak. It's a little drawing of the mountain that was there, because my dad's name was Gregor, and he wrote about this place, Silver King Lake, so I said, hey, let's go hike there. It's out by Bagby Hot Springs. Went out to Twin Lakes. So then it gets into this list, and this shows where my life took an interesting turn. And this was supposedly getting a group together for some sort of an apocalypse. I see some of these are kind of sketched and out of order, but eating healthier. There are bad scientists and bad religions. We must stop lumping them all together. Why does it always have to be religion versus science? Can't people accept they can coexist? Just little notes about thoughts about life. And that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to share some of these thoughts I had. But I have this list here. People needed someone who knows food, hunting, cooking, preserving. Someone with intelligence and reason, good morals and authority. Someone who drives all form of car, maybe ex-military, gun collector, engineer, geologist. My whole idea was to create a community of people that could survive after some sort of a cataclysm or an apocalypse, and it was at that point I was a prepper. I was really into being prepared for any type of catastrophe. So for those who I speak with today, they think I dismiss the idea of a potential apocalypse or disaster merely because of the fact that I do dismiss it only because I've gotten away from the fear. If I realize if something's going to happen, it's going to hit us from behind. I think I'm going to take a couple tokes while I do this, so I hope nobody's offended. So I've got this next page here. It's kind of funny. Let's see, what have I got? This book is just packed with stuff, random stuff, and they're not all in order. Oh, this one looks fun. Sayings I like. Okay. The solution to every problem is inherently within the individual. Look within, not without. I think we could all agree with that one. Learn to ignore negative people, and in turn you will avoid arguments. However, Stand up for yourself, if needed, as no one else will fight for you. The next one is, true knowledge lies not within the scientific method, nor any math equation, but rather in absorbing the inner truth we are aware of every day. This next one, I can't remember who said it. This is a famous quote. No society has ever succeeded once the population deemed it not worth succeeding. Or not worth saving, sorry. I thought that was an interesting one. I'm gonna expand on that. That's a really important point. This could reflect exactly what's going on in our society right now. No society has ever succeeded once the population deemed it not worth saving. When I talk about defeatism and the way that people say, oh well, like somebody said the other day, the ship is sinking, might as well just, grab a life preserver. It's like, no, don't go down with the ship. Don't grab a life preserver. Get out a hammer and nails and start repairing the holes. Plug them. Do what you can. Because with the ship goes everything. Anyway, the next one. These are all just little notes. I always like this. Disaster. The word disaster comes from two words. Dis and aster, meaning unfavorable star. And the roots of it are in back in the days when astrology was considered dominating force in fate, and they believed that when your stars were not in alignment, then shit hit the fan, so to speak. So that would be a disaster, an unfavorable star. And I like that kind of stuff. It's cool. A lot of history behind the etymology of words. The next, as I read these, I haven't proofread any of this, so I hope I don't say anything that's too offensive or anything, but I'll try to cover everything. Conspiracy theorists would like to believe everyone else is ignorant. Truth be told, theories are nothing more than comfort to the mind. The idea one can really figure out what is going on around here. The truth is stranger than fiction. I love this one. Don't make your income more important than the outcome, or than your outcome. I find that one I really like that one. That was one I made up. I don't know. Oh yeah, some of these I made and some of them I didn't, so I don't know which ones were taken, but I know that, that one I made up. Don't make your income more important than your outcome. A man collected is well respected. No matter what we have, we are products of who we are. I don't know what the hell I was thinking on that one. Knowledge means nothing if it is not put into action. So true. There is no bad form of government, only abuse of governmental power. Now that was taken from very similar to the Winston Churchill quote. Democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others that have been tried. I always like those ones. Happiness, true happiness, arises from appreciation of the simplest things. And then the final one I wrote was, every unit must work to reflect the whole. Whatever, for what it works. Whoa, okay, the next 2 pages are just what ails us. That's it. And I don't even want to get into that, because the one after that is what helps us and what we love. I wrote down an entire 2-page list of all the things that people are worried about. And I did it because I wanted to compare them to the things that people have to be happy about and fortunate. Maybe I'll just flip through it. Racism, hatred, intolerance, lack of education, spiritual differences, lack of sharing science, borders, beliefs, nationalism, sexism, abuse, violence, weapons, genocide, biblical prophecy, greed, psychopaths, assholes, thieves, family protection, prison system, what is right and wrong, ego, colonization, slavery, food waste, loss of connection, classism, prepping, UFOs, aliens, God, quantum physics, nanobots, nanotechnology, DNA changes. What is consciousness? Why are we here? Multiple dimensions, angels, demons, fear of death, ghosts, possessions, Atlantis, chemtrails, voter fraud, misinformation, wars, banking fraud, Federal Reserve, educational corruption, class wars, loss of freedoms, maxed out job growth, blatant lies, corporate bias in elections, party-based system, healthcare, economic collapse, earthquakes, tsunamis, fires, asteroids, poverty, starvation, diseases, global warming, melting ice sheets, dying animals, volcanoes, flooding, drought, desertification, overfishing, gas engines, oil spills, deforestation, strip mining, pollution, smog, water pollution, ocean pollution, chemical DNA alterations, plastics, nuclear contamination, fracking, draining, water table, downplay of renewable energy, fluoride poisoning, cancer, handicaps, pharmaceutical companies, GMO foods, diseases, nutrient deficiency, bad drugs, West Nile virus, bird flu, vaccines, salmonella, corn wasted to make fuel, chemtrails, HARP, weather modification, NWO, Nibiru cover-up, FDA involved with big pharma, belief without evidence, alien cover-ups, reptilians. And that's where I stopped, and there's plenty of room left. I think I covered them all. And if I'm going to do that, I might as well make it fair. What we love. Because somebody said, hey, that's negative. Of course it is. You have to see your enemy. You have to be able to write these things down and understand what we fear, to laugh at it all. What we love. Making friends, playing sports, eating, learning, reading, talking, anticipation. One of my favorites. Holidays, excitement, adrenaline, hobbies, flowers, nature, children, family, animals, laughing, crying, mysteries, independence, questions of life, search for meaning, religious comfort, gods, discovery of self, having someone to help run things, trusting them to be educated, trusting them to be educated on all subjects so we don't have to, protecting from other, I guess this is where I went into something totally different here. These were different points. Oh, trees, animals, long walks, hiking, rainbows, rain, sunshine, night sky, ocean, tide, sea life, clean air, opposable thumbs, intelligence, personal ideals, clean energy, stronger materials, cheaper manufacturing, more time for leisure, robots, vehicles to transport and trade goods, vaccines, surgery, antibiotics, painkillers, higher life expectancy, infant mortality down. And I could add a huge list to that of the actual murder rates are down significantly over the centuries. Homicide is down. And although we are seeing more of the negative side of things, that's just because we're observing more. It's like the earthquake data. People say we have more earthquakes ever recorded. Well, of course, because we have more seismographs. A lot of countries didn't report on things. We've got the internet now. It's a lot easier to see what's going on. Or at least, maybe it's more difficult. Alright, my next page, I don't know what this is. It says, we are holding on to this idea that our particular view of politics is the right one. So many details about Congress, wings, etc. It's so sad to see educated people under the impression that politics today will ever work. Traditions are nothing more than the mockery of a simpler time when we allowed our truths to dictate what was right. We have lost that today. Every time I pause, it's a separate section, so you know, because I just write down thoughts. Oriental meals are important. Chinese dishes are presented nicely to reflect the values of those serving, just like plants and intention and growing, texture, color, artistry, flavor, intention. The next page is a big list of world news, health discoveries, chemtrail notes, and then 2 pages of all of Manly Hall's, my favorite, his lectures, and then I have the actual times written down so I can go back one day and find them. And it's important to take notes of these things. Square peg in a round hole. Stop telling your mind what to think. Okay. I wrote, Atlanteans came out of the sea and provided knowledge. Many believe them to have come on ships. But wouldn't an advanced civilization use submarines? Or thoughts? Sometimes these are just very random thoughts I have. But 4 horsemen of the apocalypse equal the 4 ages. Iron, bronze, silver, and gold. Atomic theory. Atoms have different types of makeup, or they would all coalesce into a lump of mass. The differences cannot be measured to check. But if they really are the same, why do they take different forms and not lump together? I was talking about atomic bonds. I've learned a little more about it since then, covalent bonds and stuff like that, but there's still a big question of what electrons are, whether they exist. People still picture this thing spinning around a nucleus. It's not like that. It's more of an energy field, and everything is frequency. Which personal values do not come naturally, and which do we have to learn? This is important. That's all I wrote. I guess that makes sense to me in the sense that, certain things we know are right and wrong, but then there's some things we have to learn, and you have to ask yourself whether that's wrong because society tells us or if it's because it's actually wrong. We are all special in our own way, therefore nobody is special at all. Like that. Uniforms in schools? I'm starting to get it. Keep the drama out of school and learn. I'm not saying that I support the uniforms in schools, but I was having this different view. I watched something where they were explaining it, and but since then I've had changes back and forth about peacocking and dressing, and I won't get into that. Make your life a pattern of value. Be sure what you value is not material. Don't forget, wherever you may be in your search for truth, everyone is at their own level of understanding. Do not be rude, condescending, or intolerant, or nobody will ever listen to you. Be fair and honest, and never speak in anger without thought. Think before you speak, and be true. Why are we here? We are here to gratify the appetites of the atomic unit. Duh. It's funny, I don't even remember writing that. It's really weird. More Manly Hall stuff. Then I got a picture of a pyramid with the eye in it. And I wrote, why people would assume an eye in a pyramid is a symbol of hatred or control is beyond me, but they do. It is understandable, as the knowledge hidden from people keeps them in fear of it. We will always find faults in that which we do not agree with, to keep us from putting forth effort to change ourselves. Man has a way of shifting the blame for his own lack of effort to his leaders and those unseen. Some stuff about fanaticism. Nah. I wrote down this little dialogue between me and my son when he was like 3. I said, I wish I was a little again so I could slide on the pillow too, because he was sliding down the pillow. And he said, you got to go to the hospital and get little again. And I said, no, you can't get smaller, only bigger. And he paused and said, you got to eat smaller foods and get little again. Kids are just awesome. I'm so glad I wrote that down. We label those insane who hear or see things that we cannot. Yet we put those in office who destroy societies they have never seen. I got some more Manly Hall stuff. Man finds God in religion, in family, in mathematics, in science, in a child's eyes, through study, through knowing nature. I got this little note here about university. University was never meant to be a trade school. It was where man learned how to be a good, rounded person in life, as in university. That was always one of the ones that they got me. That people would they don't understand what a university was. It was about learning about life, everything, not just academics, but It was never a God that failed us, but rather our concept of what is important that failed us. Maybe I should have reworded that instead. It was never a God that failed us, but rather our concept of what God is that failed us. That makes more sense. And then one of my old favorites, veil upon veil we lift, we find veil upon veil behind. That was just like the one I said earlier about the onion. That's actually where that came from. If the point of life is really to seek knowledge, then why, when the universe already knows all? It seems unproductive to an extent, but if not for knowledge, is life simply to live or to create? A wise man loves to do what a fool has to do. I like that one. A wise man loves to do what a fool has to do. I wrote that down before I even learned about mental transmutation, but that's a good one. You can't fight for something without fighting against something. I have to ponder that one. Humans could theoretically be happy all of the time, right? So for what reason are we not? Therefore, I can only assume that it's one of two things, either both. Either A, unhappiness brings emotions that the universe desires to experience, or B, without the bad, there could be no good in perspective. Any good philosopher will eventually come to the realization that suffering is necessary. But this is unlike Buddhism, which assumes life is suffering. I don't buy it. Life is grand, and always should be, 99% of the time. Since I wrote that, I've actually understand more about Buddhist suffering. It's the way I interpreted it was mistaken. So, and some more stuff about Manly Hall and a few sketches. The United States is like that neighbor that keeps you up late with their noise and partying, then asks you to keep it down the next morning when you're talking quietly outside with your friends. People of faith who wish injustice on another are no better than the evil they so greatly despise. Ain't that the truth? Those people that say, well, God wants you to die, God wants this to happen, or, I wish this bad thing upon you. I've had so-called Christians tell me they hope that I die a horrible death. Anyway, my camera's going to die any minute, but I'm going to keep going until I run out of battery. Excuse me. Hey man, I smoke weed, what can I say? Many speak of life in terms of ups and downs, good times and bad times, are all perspective. I prefer to see it in terms of ebb and flow, like the ocean tides. The water is always there, holding strong. It has only shifted its mass. Every down has an upside, and every up has a down. All highs end with a low, and at your lowest, all you can do is head upward, or inward. One cannot demand wisdom. True. Losing attachment to desires, one begins to meditate, ditch worldly attachment, then becomes attached to the non-attachment. Separating from society or withdrawing is separation from the self. All extremes fail. One cannot assume the majority is more ignorant than he is. Major events impact people, any kind. So whichever the affected person he thinks is the only way, but others have found the truth another way. People are addicted to minimalist behavior. To know what the middle road is requires knowledge pertaining to the extremes. So one must know where the true middle is, not just say, live humbly and be ignorant of the world's doings. One must be balanced, but aware and vigilant. If we're here to learn, and we're learning what's already known, what's the rush to ascend out of this realm? Why try to complete everything in this life to move on? Should we not embrace it and stay as long as possible? Religion as a control could extend to a self-control, as in the religions that promote non-attachment and reincarnation. Makes life in ancient times more tolerable. Why suffer needlessly? If every action has a reaction, like gravity, it is a good example of karmic law, gravity on a different scale. One is only a keeper of money or of food, not an owner. A country assisting another is using material created by energy, which belongs to everyone. This falls within the no borders realm. That's ours, but it's not ours, it's everyone's. That's a whole different subject. Whichever event in a person's life moved a person to seek truth sticks around as the truth. It comes in many ways. Truth can't be taught. All the tools to see the outer world. We have all the tools to see the outer world, but no tools to see the inner world. I love that one. I wrote that somewhere else about having a telescopes to see out into the depths of space, but still not being able to understand our own psyche. The more shit one has been through, the better and more revealing are the discoveries we make about who we are, and they tend to stay longer in our psyche. Transmutation, archetypes, alchemy of attitudes, converting your bad emotions, seeing the beauty in the situation no matter how horrific. Now, these are all just random notes, so I know they're just scattered thoughts. I just wanted to share. I'm not going to get into religious stuff. What if different mycelial mats on Earth, which are mushroom mats, basically, are neural networks or sections of the Earth's brain, consuming different species, acts as a conduit for knowledge? Putting truth back into the truth movement, for without truth it is only a movement, and that's just a bunch of shit. And there's 2 pages on chemtrails. Are they real? And if so, why? And I don't want to get into that one. Impacts of GMOs, water rights, sterilization, fossil fuels, oil, abiotic oil. Somebody who maybe have followed my channel for a long time might remember this one. Who is the sheep, the shepherd, the wolf, and the hunter? The sheep, the barn, the hunter, the shepherd. We're all something. The plant grows and evolves, then the animal eats the plants. The animal grows and evolves, then the plant consumes the light. The plant produces sugars, animal consumes plant, therefore the animal consumes light. The plant develops chemical protection and physical protection. Animal develops that antibody, anti-venom. These are all just random notes, but I was just trying to see how light is passed around. Multiple plants develop mycorrhizal relationship with fungus as programmed. Animal consumes fungus. Animal develops physical attributes to look like the plant. Plant develops to look like the animal. Okay, that's genetic swapping and sharing. The stuff weird theories I had a while back, and I have to remember and get back into that. I'll leave you with a few notes from my Ancient Aliens research. Would a civilization learn space travel, build society, and learn to get along, only to come conquer another benign planet? Maybe. All reports of fire and smoke and thunderous sound accompanying UFOs, as if they'd used fuel. But not today. Now they're silent. Then these are, this one, UFOs changes our perceptions change. Like back in the 40s and 50s, they were really clunky looking, all the photographs. They were just they looked like something from the 40s and 50s. And you would think that they wouldn't evolve that much over that short of time. I mean, because they're not on the same industrial scale as we are, right? I'm not denying aliens here. These are just some of the inconsistencies. A lot of these people claim there's landing pads in the deserts or landing strips, but why would they need strips? There's all this talk about aliens being in space suits, but no reports of suits on aliens now. Yeah, well, yeah, admitting aliens would stop the system to an extent. That's why we haven't revealed them as far as I'm concerned, you know. I do believe. Oh, here we go. Career must be based on integrity or all falls apart and contributes to the common menace. Any form of government can succeed given the governing body has integrity, wisdom, and acts according to the will of the people. And you can take that one to heart. Any government can succeed if the people are good. And unfortunately, we have problems with that. Oh boy. There's a lot in here about random stuff. Why do we argue? Natural process of elimination. If nature ignored unbalance, the system would fall apart. So we bring forth truth by eliminating all false beliefs. Nature can be viewed as quiet and perfect, or as dangerous and scary. Fear breeds contempt, and arguments ensue. Ain't that the truth? Yeah, ain't that the truth? Then I have a few pages about the word 33. Some stuff about Kabbalism and 144 and Freemasonry and archangels and a bunch of stuff about mass panic epidemics where people had like mass hysterias. A bunch of stuff about the chemtrail dispute. Populations, religion percentages by the world and by country. Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff. 1.3 billion people in India. That's crazy. So it says here that 32% Christian, 14% Hindu, 16% agnostic. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm done. Camera's gonna die anyway. Flarpers. See, I'm avoiding my religious ones cautiously. There's a lot of stuff in here about like Bible passages. Immortality. Is mortal life perfect? What's altruism? Find out what you want from life, or life will find out what it wants from you. That's from Carpo. Take it to the bank. People who watch a lot of TV are more afraid of danger when they leave their homes. Man never loses a second if he puts his values first. We can measure the smallest atoms to the largest planets, yet we still lack the tools to measure a man's value. Human will is strong, natural will is stronger. Beware of he who falls from grace. Thou shalt not hinder a man from his path, lest he himself lose his own way by doing so. Being righteous does not mean being right, but being right is always righteous. Oh, the problem with democracy. Maybe I can get away with actually like listing the phases of awareness. 33. The phases of awareness when a person becomes aware of what's going on in the world. First, they're overwhelmed with all the information. Or maybe shocked first, then overwhelmed. Then they're in awe. And then comes the fear. Then comes the sharing and telling others. Then comes the anger and resentment towards, say, a conspiracy or the people who are perpetrating this supposed idea, if it's true or not. Then that resentment is reinforced by others that you meet, say, on the internet. Then, this is where you make the good change. Then you have the realization of the futility of complaining about it. You have a period of contemplation and resistance. Then the acceptance of reality. Then a gradual education of the actual history of humanity. Then a reformulation of your ideals and processes. Then an attempt to find rational answers to things you once just screamed about. And then conflict with those at different points of reality, which is the point I'm at, where I say it's not that I dispute that there's bad things going on, it's just that it doesn't matter to me because I'm not interested, because there's certain issues that we can't resolve, such as, when I dispute something like chemtrails or New World Order or Illuminati or secret societies, Satanism, all that stuff is just stuff that's just going to be what it is. So, I got to focus my energy where I can, What do we want? What are we here to do? Are we here to raise social awareness of issues and discoveries that help us understand ourselves and each other? Provide an open format. Oh, why do we yearn to learn? This was going to be a podcast I was going to try to do. Yeah, provide an open format which allows and promotes discussion. We are all part of knowledge, all scientists. We are not here to push beliefs because they are ever changing. Expect people to be respectful to all beliefs, but have no problem asking for proof. I am a skeptic by